Now, this here is my 2022 Fender Player Series Stratocaster. It was made in the Ensenada plant in Mexico, and I received it as a gift for my 21st birthday a few years ago. Now, I wanted a Stratocaster ever since I started playing guitar, age 17. You know, I saw people playing Strats and I thought, I want one of those. I want to be like those guys and play a Strat. And so I searched for ages, looking in second-hand shops, cash converters, pawn shops, waiting for a Strat or a Strat-looking guitar to show up and for me to buy. Obviously, that never happened, but I waited long enough, and lo and behold, my 21st birthday, my parents had gotten me this lovely white Strat. I mean, I fell in love with it instantly, and it is my main guitar for both writing and recording. I've gotten so much use out of this thing, and I am so grateful to be the owner of this guitar. So this guitar is mainly stock. It is how it was when I received it, mostly, but there are some things that I have done to this guitar. The first thing I did was I added a tension spring inside here to help stabilize the vibrato arm. Yes, vibrato, not tremolo. Leo Fender got those two words confused back in the 1950s. This is, in fact, a vibrato arm. And putting a tension spring in here means I can have it where I want it. I can leave it there and it doesn't flop away or dangle around or anything like that. It stays exactly how I want it, which means I have full control. I can do gurgles and really sharp, instant things with it, and it stays perfectly fine and doesn't disappear from me. The second thing I did was at the headstock. Now, I replaced the original synthetic bone nut, which is basically plastic, with this Graphtec tusk nut made by Graphtec up in Canada. I also replaced the original bent steel string tree with these round Warmoth string trees. And I also added this one here, not only as a nod to the 70 strats, which I love, but also to help, I don't know if you can see that, to help have more of an even decline in how the strings go from the nut to the machine heads. Before these middle strings were d- taken down with the string tree, they were a lot higher up and would cause them to ring out a lot more from this end. So those are the only modifications I've done to help improve this guitar. The rest is still stock. And I guess we should have some tones. And I guess that leads us very nicely onto the second topic I wanted to discuss in this video, and that was, of course, the current lawsuit that Fender has won in Germany over the body style of the Stratocaster. Now, I, along with loads of other people believe that this lawsuit is ridiculous and absolutely uncalled for. Even though I love Strats and I love Fender guitars, Fender made a really, really ridiculous move here in taking some boutique builders in Europe to court over the body of the Fender Stratocaster. Now, we all know what Strats look like. This is an incredibly iconic design, and this has been around for over 70 years. This has been around since 1954. You know, even the dictionary definition of an electric guitar references the Fender Stratocaster. It is so iconic. And for Fender to suddenly make a copyright over it all these years later just leaves you wondering why. Why have they done this? Why did they need to do this? And obviously, the most logical answer is Fender want to protect what's theirs. They want to protect their assets and what they make from making these guitars. But this isn't the first time that Fender has gone to court over the use of their body shapes. They tried and failed in 2009. So over 15 years ago. Crikey, that's scary to think it's that long ago. But yeah, they tried before. And so with this new CEO that Fender has brought in recently, they've tried it again and they were successful this time. But the only reason that they were successful and won this lawsuit was because the opposition failed to show up to court. So Fender won by default purely because they had no opposition at the time that showed up. So, with that all said, I, along with many others, believe that Fender made a huge mistake in pursuing this lawsuit. And to many people, Fender have ruined their reputation and have betrayed and hurt so many of their users and their fans and people who would have possibly bought Fender guitars, but now this has happened, they're not going to, which is kind of ironic because this new CEO that came in obviously saw what's gone on with Fender over the last few years. And it's no secret that Fender's quality control has gone downhill over the last few years. I mean, with this guitar, I love this guitar. I've already stated that, but it isn't without its flaws. This saddle here for the top E string has a huge problem of lowering itself whenever the vibrato is used or whether it is bending strings, and it shouldn't do that. You know, I'm constantly every few weeks having to screw this back up so it gets in pitch with the others, things, but it doesn't stay like that. And also, loads of other people have expressed issues with Fender guitars that you'd think, oh, it's a Fender, it should be incredibly good quality. But no, recently Fender have been cutting costs and their quality control has come down. And so that has led many people to go away from Fender guitars and still wanting an S-type guitar have gone to boutique builders or other guitar builders who can make these style of guitars but with much better quality. And Fender have seen this and thought, people aren't buying our guitars, what we're going to do, instead of looking into this and trying to fix our quality, let's just sue everyone who's building guitars like ours. They can't do that. We own this body shape. Let's sue everyone else. And of course, there are, of course, counterfeits out there. There are cheap knockoffs of these that sell for only £100 or less, that are made anywhere in the world and are incredibly bad quality. The vibrato system's bad, the pickups are bad, the control knobs are bad, the machine heads are bad. You just get some, well, maybe not these days, but over the last few decades, you'd get cheap knockoff S-type guitars that were horrendous. But that's not really the case these days. So one would think that this lawsuit was done purely to stop the cheap counterfeit guitars from being made. But that's not the case. In fact, the official document doesn't show a Fender Strat. It shows for what Fender used for the description of what a Stratocaster guitar looked like was a knockoff AliExpress Sunburst Stratocaster. I mean, how ironic is that? How ironic is that? They didn't even use their own guitar. They used a knockoff to show people what a Strat looked like. I mean, you can't make that up. And no, this isn't about, getting rid of counterfeits or low quality guitars or whatever. This is just, getting rid of everyone else who builds guitars that look remotely like this. And Fender's excuses have been about this body shape, of how they've employed lots of artistic license in the description. Oh, it's feminine, it's a woman stretching her arms out, and it's designed like this to look like a woman, and blah blah blah. No, it was designed like this to have ease of use. These contours, they help you rest. They help the guitar rest on your body. These help rest your arm when you're playing. These cutaways here are so you can get up the neck. It has nothing to do with, oh, a woman stretching her arms out, and it has nothing to do with that. And for all of a sudden, 70 years later, for Fender to come out and spew this twaddle about the Strat, it's just obscene. It's utterly ridiculous. And even the instructions that Fender have given out to distributors and manufacturers who make and sell these styles of guitars to destroy their existing stock is abhorrent. That is awful behavior. And it's not hard to see why loads of people have lost respect for Fender. To come out and say things like destroy your stock, you can't make that up. You honestly can't make that up. That is just horrific. And because of all of this, loads of people have come out and said that this lawsuit is going to change the creation and the distribution of electric guitars forever from now on. Because not only will it make obtaining a guitar like this, doesn't matter if it's a Fender or not, getting a guitar like this for someone to play will be much more difficult. It'll also mean loads of builders and loads of guitar companies will probably go under by not being able to make guitars that look like this. Which, by the way, this body shape, this Stratocaster body shape, is in the public domain. I don't know how long it's been in the public domain for, but this is in the public domain. Hence why so many builders have made guitars that look like this. And it's also important to think about the players who have just started to play guitar, who don't have a lot of money, and they see people playing Stratocasters and they think, I want to be like them, I want to have that guitar, but they don't have the money to have that guitar. Obviously, Fenders make affordable guitars under the Squire range, and the Squire branded guitars are incredibly good value for money these days. But still, they're not the most affordable guitars out there. And even if someone got a Strat style guitar, but with a different headstock and a different name on it, they'd still think, "Oh, this looks like so and so guitars that I've seen them play. I want to, I've got a guitar like them." By suing everyone else who makes guitars like this and getting rid of them, it takes away that opportunity for people to want to be able to afford something that is made by Fender that looks like this. They haven't realized that people buy those other guitars because they want to have one of these but can't. So they make do with what they have, and then they get a bit more money. They trade that off and they get something else that may not be this. They trade that guitar off until eventually they have enough money to buy a legitimate Fender. And Fender could take all of that away from people. And you got to think, where does it go from there? How long before they start pulling this crap off with the Telecaster body, the Jazzmaster body, the Jaguar, the Precision bass, the Jazz bass? You just gotta stop and think. If they're not stopped in their tracks now and apologize for what they've done and retract what they've done and make it up to loads of people that they have now betrayed, what's going to happen next and where are they going to go from here? I'd like to know what you think down in the comments below. So anyway, thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Please consider supporting me on Patreon. Links below. Feel free to check out my music, Max G Psychedelic Pond. Follow me on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, on Bluesky, wherever. And take care, everyone. See you next time.